Hello and welcome to the transcription explanation of this design. It was done using Lauren Sherman's script, which uses a combination of dots and lines on these 4 different stems to make our consonants. And the vowels are smaller circles, and they're pretty tricky because they have different positions depending on if they're by themselves or if they're attached to one of these 4 stems. So this picture kind of shows the things together. So this is like an A by itself on the word circle. This is a B A because this is the B stem. This is a J A because this is a J stem. This is a T stem with an A on it and a TH stem with an A. So anyway, that's the combinations for the rest of the consonant vowel teams. Let's go ahead and hop to the design. And the first thing I want to talk about is the layout. So typically, circular Gallifreyan is read bottom counterclockwise, but it's quite popular to string things out left to right as well. This one can kind of be read either way, bottom counterclockwise or left to right, because these 2 phrases in the song repeat again over, like, they repeat multiple times. So like it would say this one and then this one and then this one and then this one. So it could be read this way or this way. But for your typical reader who's not super familiar with the to the letter of the law phrasing, they would mostly read left to right of each of these phrase circles. So I'm going to go ahead and do that here. So here we have our first word. Well, if we're going to do this as the first phrase circle as opposed to this being the first phrase circle, this would be our first letter because then we for sure read these bottom counterclockwise inside our phrases. So here's our first word, and you also read each word bottom counterclockwise. So this is the first letter of the first word, and it is this deep divot shape, so it's in this row, and there are 3 lines ending on it. So lines can curve, like this one curves around here, this one curves around here, or they could be straight, like this one's straight. So 1, 2, 3, and they can also be thick or thin, it doesn't matter. So 1, 2, 3 lines makes this an F. So 3 lines, deep divot F, and then we have a little circle, and it's outside the word circle. So it's a vowel because it's a little circle, and A's are the only thing that are outside the word circle. So F, A, continuing around. Here we have our next set of consonants, and it's a double line, so it's a double letter. And since the lines are the same thickness, they're the same letter. So the modifiers on these double lines count for both of them. So 1, 2, 3 dots means that this is a double L. So circle inside the circle, and 3 dots means it's an L. So F-A-L-L, continuing on, here's our next letter, and it is another vowel, and this little curved line does end on it. So the word circle doesn't count, but the line counts. So it is 1 line going towards the middle. So if it were starting on the outside, it would be a U, but since it's starting on the inside, it is an I. So like this. So as long as the line goes out anywhere on the inside of the word circle, it's an I, but towards the outside, it would be a U. So this is an I. Continuing on. Here we have a circle on the line of the word circle. So it's this stem. And we got to be careful about counting up the lines here because this one passes through, this one passes through here. But if we look to the outside, 1, 2, 3 lines end on it. So 1, 2, 3 lines end on this stem, making it an NG. So falling is our first word. Here's our next word, bottom of it. Here we have another smaller circle with a line going towards the middle, so this is very obviously an I. Continuing around here, we have an N, 1 line ending on a circle inside the circle. Then we have a shallow divot, so it's in this row, with no lines or dots on it, so that's just a T, and then another smaller circle, and it's inside the word circle, so it's an O, so like that. So I-N-T-O, into. Here's our last word of this phrase circle. And this one has a lot of stuff going through it, but only these thick lines end on it. So it's a circle inside the circle for sure. So it's in this row. And this passes through, passes through, passes through, passes through. 1, 2 lines end on it. So that is a P. Continuing around. Here's our next letter. It is an I, pretty obviously, line going towards the middle. Then we have an E, another little vowel just on the line, no lines anywhere. And then we have this. It's a shallow divot with 1, 2, 3 lines. I don't care that there's not enough space. Okay, 3 lines on it. Now this is an S, and this word is pieces. And you're like, why is there a letter S in the word pieces? It should be a letter C, but this letter C is only supposed to be used for proper nouns or acronyms or things where it really has to be a C. Otherwise, you're supposed to replace the letter C with the letter S or K depending on what sound the C makes, or a CH character. So pieces is an S because it goes S. So pieces, the C in pieces goes S, so use an S. So S, and then we have another E, hanging out in between or on the line of the word circle and then the stem. So here's that E. Then here's our last stem. 1, 2, 3 lines. It's another S set up just like this S. So P-I-E-S-E-S, pieces. And then continuing, here's our next phrase circle. Here we have our first word because it's at the bottom. And here's our first letter because it's at the bottom. It is another I. So just like this I, continuing around. Here we have lines that end on the word circle and go directly to the sentence circle. So that is an apostrophe. So an apostrophe, continuing around. This A is pretty close to this word circle, but it's actually touching this one. So if there is an ambiguous A and you don't know what word it goes to, whichever one it's closest to is the one it goes to. So this actually goes to this word, not this word. So I apostrophe, this is our next letter. 1, 2, 3 lines on this circle inside the circle makes it an M. So I am, well, I'm, like the I am contraction, I am, I'm. Here's our next word, bottom of it. Here we have 3 lines, 1, 2, 3 lines on a shallow divot. So that is an S with an O on it. So like a bead on a string, and O's hanging out on the line of the word circle. Oh, and something I do is in the vowels, I erase the lines on the inside of them. It kind of muddies them up and makes them look a bit like dots. So I erase the lines inside of the vowels, and even if they're on word circles or letter circles. So anyway, this is an S with an O on it. So. And then here's our last word. This is our first letter at the very bottom. And it is an A because it's outside the word circle. And we talked about how this one is closest because it's actually touching here as opposed to here. So A, continuing around. You have a circle inside the circle with 1, 2, 3 dots. And it's important that this line ends here and these lines end here on the word circle because they would modify this consonant if they ended on it. So be careful of those little things, like this one has to end on this one, otherwise it wouldn't be an N, and this one has to end on the word circle. And you're like, but wait, punctuation marks is on the word circle. And I'm like, yeah, but punctuation marks go directly to the sentence circle. This goes and becomes the line on the N. These are all the lines on this S. Yeah, so A, L, and then O, and then an N, like I mentioned before, it's a circle inside the circle with 1 line, and then an E at the end of it. So A, L, O, and E, which are, this phrase is the lyrics of the song. So, yeah. I hope you like it. Oh, and it was designed to be a tattoo on the right pectoral, or like upper chest muscle. So that's why it's shaped kind of like this. It should fit quite well and be the right size for a nice chest tattoo. So, yeah. If you have any questions, let me know. I hope you love it. Bye.